It's showtime.
Gremlins Secrets of the Mogwai is finally here, and just in time for the Halloween season. And I got a look at 2 brand new episodes for the show, and I gotta say, for being a show that's mainly marketed towards kids, this looks exciting. The show is exclusively available on HBO Max to stream, with 1 season so far. The cast for this is quite large. We have Zach Gilligan as a henchman, Isaac Wang as Sam Wing, Gabriel Navarre-Green as Ellie, AJ Lacosto as Gizmo himself. We have James Hong as Grandpa Wing, who, by the way, was made famous mostly for his character Mr. Ping in the Kung Fu Panda movies. We have BD Wong as Han Wing. We have Ming Na Wing as Fing Ming. We have Matthew Rise as Riley Green. We have Bowen Yang as the Celestial Administrator. We have Randall Park as Yao Odd Odd. We have Sandra Oh as Nue. And we have George Taki as Noggin. The first thing I want to say, the music in this series. It feels like it was pulled directly from the films, with the music being very reminiscent of that. Even the animation, which I'm not usually a fan of the cutesy sort of animation in film, I feel like it works here. Obviously, this is aimed more at kids, but even then, the gremlins themselves, the villains, the monster villains of this series, they still feel cute, even though they're like vicious monsters. And even Riley Green in this show. Riley Green feels like an actual Gremlins villain. Unlike Mr. Clamp from Gremlins 2, who I have nothing against. I feel like he's a fun and quirky villain, but he fails at essentially being a villain. He's just this rich dude who feels like he's entitled to everything, and he wants to obviously make the most out of his endeavors, and he doesn't really realize what his projects are doing to the community and how it affects the people within. And obviously, he shows remorse once he realizes what he's doing, but he's not really a villain, whereas Riley Green is a villain straight up. Like, he's an old wizard warlock character, perfect for a Gremlin storyline, and he apparently is such a badass that he can force the Gremlins to do his bidding. So crazy. The Mogwai designs in this show, I'm gonna be honest with you, they weren't the craziest thing. If anything, they just feel like the Mogwai we got in Gremlins 2, the new batch. Very generic. One of the Mogwai specifically, I like because he's got talons. No other Mogwai has really shown that before, with the exception of Mohawk, who didn't really have talons, he just had pointed fingers. No, this dude has talons in his Mogwai form, and when he turns into a gremlin, it just gets even gnarlier and crazy looking. Continuing with new characters, we also have Ellie, who looks pretty cool and badass throughout the episodes that she's featured in. Starts off as a henchman or lackey to Mr. Green, trying to pay off a supposed debt to him, and joins Sam Wing in returning Gizmo to the Jade Valley to reunite him with his people, and of course get riches to pay off her debt to Mr. Green. James Hong as Grandpa Wing, my favorite character. I absolutely love this character, so it sucked when he died. Straight up gets killed, and in a pretty gruesome way. He gets eaten by a man. Like, Mr. Riley Green, he takes this man, levitates him with magic, turns him into a green ball, and just eats him. Like, breaks his jaw, eats him. It's so scary for a kid's show, not to mention, it's just, man, he was a good character. Why did you kill him off like that? Then we have BD Wong. You thought I wasn't going to talk about BD Wong. I know what's going on. I know this guy was from Jurassic Park. He was Henry Wu in Jurassic Park and Jurassic World. And I'm going to be honest, he's not the greatest character. Pretty one-dimensional. He just serves a generic father role. Although he does have a heroic sacrifice in which he presumably dies the same way that Grandpa Wing died. Like, what is wrong? You killed the two best actors in this project within like the second episode. When it comes to the designs of the titular monsters, the gremlins, there's nothing really new here. I figured for a new Gremlins project they were going to change up the design like they did for the second film, but no, it's just the second film designs in a cartoon style, which is really unfortunate. I was hoping they were going to update the designs of the Gremlins in each subsequent project, but whatever, it's not a big deal. Now, obviously, I'm not the main demographic when it comes to this series. Let's face it, it's for kids. And when I first found out about it, I wasn't too upset about it. I'm like, oh, there's going to be a new Gremlin show. It's going to be a prequel. It's going to be animated, and it's going to answer the story of how Mr. Wing met Gizmo and where the Gremlins came from. And the show doesn't really deliver on that. They give us a little bit of background as to where the Mogwai came from. They come from a place located deep in the mountains called the Jade Valley, and that the Mogwai just happily exists there, and nobody's ever discovered them. And obviously Sam Wing is Mr. Wing from the films, but just younger. And that's all they really give us. Now, obviously, I've only seen 2 episodes, and that is courtesy of Fangtastic on YTV, and I've only seen a few video clips here on YouTube. So I can't really make any solid judges of the show just yet, but I have noticed that you can buy episodes of the show here on YouTube Movies, so that's really cool. But the Gremlins seem like typical Gremlins. They cause mayhem, they hurt each other, they're mischievous, and they just look crazy doing what it is that they do. Also, editing Blaze here, I just wanted to mention, I found out the name of that gremlin I was talking about earlier. His name is Claw, and he's actually the leader of this new batch of gremlins that we follow throughout the series. And basically that means he's pretty vicious, he's very angry, like the other gremlins don't fuck with him or they get hurt. Another thing of note when it comes to Claw is he does not sport the signature mohawk, which the previous 2 leaders had. We had Stripe, who had the white mohawk. We had Mohawk, whose like basically hair arrangement was down out of like fish spines, looked really cool and badass. And the new leader, Claw, does not have a mohawk, but he does have spikes around the ridges of his eyes, very pronounced spikes. So I guess that's his new thing to differentiate him from the others, and also he's fat. Ears are really frilled, and he even sports spines along his ears as well, which noticeably none of the other gremlins appear to have. Basically, he real spiky. He's a spiky boy. All things considered, I can't really make a realistic judgment on the show because I've only seen 2 episodes. Right? We're 2 episodes in, but it is on YouTube Movies, so I might buy a couple episodes and get a better idea of how this show works and everything else in between. But with that being said, hope you guys enjoyed. Happy haunts, and I'll see you in the next spooky Halloween video.